It is commonly known that legendary actor Sir Sean Connery played the role of James Bond in the first film and continued to star in the subsequent 7 films. However, his devoted followers have been rocked by the recent disclosure of some personal details about his life. Let's delve deeply into Sean Connery's life, uncovering both the known and unknown aspects. Thomas Sean Connery came into this world on August 25, 1930 in Edinburgh, Scotland at the Royal Maternity Hospital. His grandfather on his father's side inspired his name. Not long after that, his brother Neil was born to his parents. Joseph Connery was a truck driver and factory worker, while Euphemia McBain McLean was a housekeeper. The son of a Roman Catholic father and a Protestant mother, Sean Connery hailed from Scotland and came from a Christian family. He and his siblings spent their childhood in 176 Fountainbridge. The block has been demolished, thus it is no longer there.
Connery had a little stature while he was in primary school, but he started to burst into a towering 6 feet 2 inch frame by the time he was 18 years old. Connery was unable to receive a formal education because of his family's financial difficulties and his own humble origins.
Because he had to help support his family, he had to drop out of school when he was 9 years old. He began his working life as a milkman for St. Cuthbert's Cooperative Society when he was a little boy. Connery remembered a cab chat from 2009. A cab driver I had in Edinburgh at a recent film festival was astounded that I could identify each street by name. He demanded to know why. I used to be a milk delivery boy when I was a kid. Connery decided to enlist in the Royal Navy in 1946, immediately following WWII. He got 2 famous tattoos while he was there. According to his official website, these were essential to Sean Connery. His tattoos were serious, unlike others. His tattoos symbolize his unwavering devotion to his family and his homeland of Scotland. One bears the words Mum and Dad in honor of his parents, while the other bears the word Scotland Forever, which should be rather clear. His naval gunner school and anti-aircraft crew training took place in Portsmouth. The ship HMS Formidable promoted him to the position of able seaman in due course. However, Connery was relieved of duty in 1949 as a result of health issues. His condition, duodenal ulcer, is passed down through generations of men in his family. He resumed his part-time job after being discharged. To make ends meet, he worked as a variety of occupations, including driving a lorry, guarding swimmers at Portobello, digging ditches, and even modeling for the Edinburgh College of Art. Before trying his hand at other occupations, he worked as a coffin polisher. At 15 shillings an hour, though, he was making a tidy profit from his foray into modeling. Richard DeMarco, a student artist who painted multiple early portraits of Sean Connery, said that he was quite reserved and quiet, unbearably stunning, a digital Adonis. At the age of 18, he started training for a marathon, and in 1951 he worked out with Ellington, a former British Army gym instructor. According to some accounts, he even ran for Mr. Universe, however the specific year is unclear. He competed in 1950 and came in 3rd, according to Connery's official website. According to other accounts, he competed in 1953 but was unable to participate in the tall man class. Instead, he placed 3rd in the junior class. After Connery started losing to Americans in bodybuilding competitions due to their size and muscle, he quickly became disillusioned with the sport. He was upset that they wouldn't work out as much as he did, which would lead to their muscle mass deteriorating. Being a former player for Bonnie Rig Rose, he genuinely loved football. While on tour with East Fife, he competed in a local match against a team managed by Matt Busby, who had formerly managed Manchester United. Busby had given him a tryout. His reported physical abilities reportedly impressed Busby. Right after the game, they offered Connery a contract that would pay PS2.5 per week or PS882 in 2023. I understood that a top-tier footballer could be over their prime by the time they were 30 years old, and I was only 23 years old, Connery reflects. Choosing to pursue acting as a career path was a wise choice. As a side hustle in late 1951, Sean Connery worked as a backstage assistant at London's King's Theatre. It was during a 1953 London bodybuilding competition that one of the contestants brought up the fact that tryouts were being holding for a stage production of South Pacific. It was during these auditions that Sean Connery was cast in a supporting role as one of the CB's chorus boys. His pay increased from £12 to £14 and 10 shillings per week when the performance reached Edinburgh, where he was cast as Marine CPL Hamilton Steeves and understudied two of the young leads. After Larry Hagman's portrayal of Lieutenant Buzz Adams in the West End, Connery was promoted to the featured part when the play returned the following year due to popular demand. Staying in Edinburgh, Sean Presley filmed the film. The Valdor Gang, widely regarded as the city's most prominent criminal organization, had him in their sights. He resisted their attempts to seize his jacket in a billiard hall the first time they attacked him. He was trailed by 6 gang members as he made his way home from the venue. At the Palais de Danse, Connery expertly guided them to a balcony that was 15 feet above ground. There he attacked the gang members by himself, slamming their heads together while seizing one by the biceps and the other by the throat. He earned the gang's respect and a reputation as a tough guy after that brawl. While it was running at Manchester's Opera House during the 1954 Christmas season, it was with the encouragement of American actor Robert Henderson that Sean Connery first became interested in the theater. Robert gave Sean Connery editions of Hedda Gabler, The Wild Duck, and When We Dead Awaken, all written by Henrik Ibsen. In addition, he suggested that he read the works of Shakespeare, Joyce, Tolstoy, Proust, and others. Robert supported his decision to enroll in public speaking classes and even assisted him in securing acting roles at London's Maida Vale Theatre. He has experience filming before. He co-starred with Errol Flynn and Anna Nigel as an extra in the 1954 musical Lilacs in the Spring, written and directed by Herbert Wilcox. Connery was a part-time babysitter for journalist Peter Noble and actress Mary Ann since he was financially unstable, despite being enrolled as an extra. His nightly earnings were 10 shillings. Connery met Shelley Winters, an actress from Hollywood, at Noble's house one fateful night. Afterwards, she spent numerous evenings drinking beer with the Connery brothers and gushed about how tall, handsome, and macho Connery was. By this time, Connery had moved into TV host Lou Gardner's home. As it turned out, Robert was Connery's true buddy and ally. He connected him with a part in a £6-a-week Q Theatre production of Witness for the Prosecution by Agatha Christie, where he met and befriended fellow actor Scott Ian Bannon. After this, he appeared in Q's Point of Departure and A Witch in Time, onstage opposite Yvonne Mitchell as Pentheus in the Bacchae at the Oxford Playhouse, and in a play by Eugene O'Neill called Anna Christie opposite Jill Bennett. While he was a student at the Oxford Theatre, he landed a small role as a boxer in the TV show The Square Ring, which was directed by Alvin Rakoff of Canada. Shot on location in Dover, Kent, Alvin cast him in various parts in The Condemned. Connery had a small appearance as a hoodlum in the 1956 stage production of Epitaph and appeared in the 1956 episode of the BBC police series Dixon of Dock Green titled Ladies of the Manor. Because of this, he was able to land modest roles in European film specials like Jack Benny and Sailor of Fortune. The part that made Connery famous was playing James Bond, the British secret agent. Although he was hesitant to commit to a film series, he was aware that the picture may catapult his career. The job that set Connery on the path to stardom was offered to him by producer Albert Cubby Broccoli's wife Dana. She allegedly convinced her spouse that Sean Connery was the ideal candidate. James Bond's creator Ian Fleming expressed his reservations about choosing Connery as the role, stating, "I'm looking for Commander Bond and not an enormous stuntman." Fleming went on to claim that Connery is 6'A" and powerful and that Scott lacks refinement. After the success of Dr. No premiere, Fleming revised his plan on the advice of his girlfriend Blanche Blackwell, who informed him that Connery has the necessary sexual charm. He was so enthralled that he infused the character with Connery's family history. According to Fleming's 1964 book You Only Live Twice, Bond's dad was from Glencoe in the Scottish Highlands and was Scottish. From 1962 to 1967, Connery portrayed James Bond in the first 5 Eon Productions Bond films: Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice. Connery made a triumphant return for the 7th film, 1971's Diamonds Are Forever, after leaving the role. In Never Say Never Again, 1983, a reimagining of Thunderball created by Jack Schwartzman's Talia picture, Sean Connery reprised his role as James Bond. Financially, all 7 films did well. In their ranking of cinematic heroes, the American Film Institute ranked Sean Connery's James Bond as number 3. Director Terrence Young gave him a lot of stylistic advice that helped him hone his Bond performance while making the most of his physical presence and grace in the action scenes. According to Lois Maxwell, who played Miss Moneypenny, Terrence adopts Sean as his own. Not only did he teach him how to walk, talk, and eat, but he also took him out to supper. The tutoring session went well. Within a week of Dr. No's premiere, Connery had hundreds of admirer emails and had become a prominent sex symbol in Hollywood. With the 1962 release of Dr. No, the phrase Bond, James Bond, entered the Western popular language. According to film reviewer Peter Bradshaw, no figure in cinematic history has ever made a more iconic introduction than this one. Wearing an evening gown and a cigarette dangling from his mouth, Connery nailed the look with an icy air of contempt. Clearly aimed at an adversary, the introduction took the form of a seduction or challenge. James Bond, played by Sean Connery, was the most alluring and dangerous screen villain of the 1960s. When Connery was filming the shark scene in Emilio Largo's pool for 1965's Thunderball, his life was in jeopardy. In the shark scene in Emilio Largo's pool, Connery's life was in jeopardy during filming Thunderball in 1965. When he first read the script, he was worried about this danger. The plexiglass barrier that Connery had Ken Adam construct for the pool wasn't permanently installed, thus one of the sharks got through. Without further ado, he had to leave the pool. "I am fed up here with the whole Bond bit, and I have always hated that damn James Bond," Sean Connery said after becoming tired of the character and the burden the franchise put on him, despite Bond making him a success. "I wish I could murder him." Connery counted Michael Caine as one of his closest pals. "If you were his friend in those early days, you didn't bring up Bond," Caine remarked of the situation. Even though he became practically Bond himself, he was and is a far more accomplished actor overall. People would point and shout, "Look, there's James Bond," as he strolled down the street. To him, that was very distressing. In addition to his Bond films, Sean Connery had starring roles in films like Marnie 1964 by Alfred Hitchcock and The Hill 1965 by Sidney Lumet, which, according to reviewer Peter Bradshaw, were his 2 best non-Bond films of the 60s. The opportunity to direct and present the 1967 documentary film The Bowler and the Bunnet came to Connery through a connection he made while playing golf with Scottish industrialist E.A. Maxwell Stewart in the mid-1960s. Shot in Glasgow in the 1960s at the Fairfield Shipbuilding and Engineering Company, the video chronicled the experimental approach to workplace relations known as the Fairfield Experiment. Stewart started the project, and George Brown, Harold Wilson's first secretary in 1966, was on board with it. Some of Connery's later features, like Just Cause, The Avengers, First Night, and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, were critical and commercial flops. His performance in Finding Forrester, though, was well received. Additionally, he was honored with a Crystal Globe for his exceptional artistic impact on film around the world. Connery was placed 8th on Channel 4's list of the 100 greatest movie stars in a 2003 UK vote. Particularly disheartening for Sean Connery was the film's failure. He declared that director Stephen Norrington ought to be incarcerated for lunacy after sensing that the production was veering off course while filming. After Connery decided to retire from acting to spare himself the burden of trying to save the film during editing, he put in a lot of time and effort. He claimed he was confused by the script and so declined to play Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings movies. According to reports, he was offered $30 million in addition to 15% of the global box office profits, for a total of $450 million. He declined roles as the architect in the Matrix films and as Albus Dumbledore in the Harry Potter films. Along with recording producer Terry Manning, he posed for a 2005 Bahamas session where he did voiceovers for the computer game From Russia with Love. Connery expressed his gratitude to Electronic Arts, the studio that approached him about lending his voice to James Bond. On June 8, 2006, he received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute. Shortly after he announced his retirement from acting. One of the reasons given for Connery's decision to retire was his disappointment with the current crop of Hollywood filmmakers. Claiming retirement is just too damned fun, he shot down speculation that he will make an appearance in the fourth Indiana Jones film on June 7, 2007. A bronze bust of Sean Connery was erected outside the Scottish club in Tallinn, Estonia, in 2010. The club's members include both native Scots and a small number of Scots living abroad. Sir Billy, an animated film set in Scotland, featured Connery's voice as the titular character in 2012. For the longer 80-minute version, Connery was the executive producer. His father, a die-hard Celtic FC fan, introduced him to the club when he was a kid, and ever since then, supporters have known that he is a devotee of the Scottish Football Club. Connery became friendly with Rangers FC's chairman David Murray in his later years, and he shifted allegiances to the club from Celtic, a fierce rival. His friend Ian Stewart got him started on the golf course, and he quickly became an avid player. In the 1964 James Bond film Goldfinger, Connery played a round of golf at Stoke Park Golf Club in Buckinghamshire against gold magnate Orek Goldfinger. Prior to production, English professional golfer Peter Allis taught Connery the game. He loved the game of golf, remarked Jack Nicklaus, a golf course designer and record major tournament winner. As golfers go, Sean was quite impressive. We also had multiple instances of playing together. Sean and the late, great Jackie Stewart were instrumental in the grand opening of the Gleneagles course we designed for the PGA Centenary in May 1993. In terms of love relationships, the cast and crew of South Pacific in the mid-1950s, Carol Soppel was a Jewish beauty with black hair and a ballerina's physique who dated James Connery. Unfortunately, her family was opposed to their relationship, therefore it ended. After that, he dated Jill Craig's a feminist and documentary filmmaker daughter, Julie Hamilton. At first, Hamilton didn't take a fancy to Sean Connery because of his rough charm and unkempt appearance. However, after she saw him dressed in a kilt, she couldn't help but exclaim that he was the most stunning sight she had ever laid eyes on. When he met jazz vocalist Maxine Daniels on the job at the theater, they had an instant attraction. After he made a move toward her, she informed him that she was previously married and had a daughter. From 1962 until 1974, Connery was married to actress Diane Salento. However, they divorced in 1971. The couple's son, Jason Joseph, is an actor. In the early 1970s, Connery dated a number of women, including Deanne Cannon, Jill St. John, Lana Wood, Carol Mallory, and Magda Konopka, all of whom he eventually broke up with. From 1975 until his death, he was married to Micheline Roquebrune, a French-Moroccan painter. People held him in high esteem not only for his acting but also for his other accomplishments. Shodan, or First Dan, is an honorary rank in Kyokushin karate that he received. During an investiture ceremony held at Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh on July 5, 2000, the Queen bestowed the knighthood upon him. His political beliefs prevented him from receiving the knighthood nominations in 1997 and 1998, which he did not receive until the year 2000. It was easy for Connery's secrets to come out when he was this successful. Salento, who was involved with Connery romantically, claimed in her memoirs published in 2006 that he verbally and physically abused her when they were together. In 2006, he was embroiled in controversy amid allegations that he condoned the abuse of women, which forced him to abandon an appearance in the Scottish Parliament. Claims were denied by him. Though he cautioned against beating women the same manner one would hit males, he nonetheless said, "I don't think there is anything particularly wrong in hitting a woman." This was recorded in 1965 in an interview with Playboy magazine. Additionally, in 1993, he allegedly told Vanity Fair, "There are women who take it to the wire." The Last Showdown is exactly what they're after. What they really want is a solid whack. It was said that Connery had stated later in 2006 that he did not believe that any form of assault against women could ever be condoned. He had an affair with singer-songwriter Lindsay DePaul in the late 1980s, which came to light during his marriage to Micheline. Not because he was married, but because of his beliefs on domestic violence, she subsequently declared that she regretted the affair. Connery was politically active in addition to having a contentious attitude on how to treat women. He joined the centre-left Scottish National Party SNP, which advocates for Scottish independence from the UK, in 1966 after being moved by his Scottish heritage and his 1966 experiences shooting in Glasgow's shipyards. Connery stated in 2011 that his lengthy affiliation with the Scottish National Party began with the bowler and the bunnet. He was a financial and public face for the party's supporter. I am confident that we can build a thriving, dynamic, and contemporary self-governing Scotland that we can all be proud of, and that will be worthy of the respect of other nations. This was his message to George Leslie, the SNP candidate in the 1967 Glasgow Pollock by-election. After the UK Parliament approved a law in 2001 banning foreign sponsorship of political activity in the UK, he stopped giving money to the SNP. Claims that he was a tax exile were leveled against him. In 2003, Connery made public records that proved he had paid PS $3.7 million in taxes to the UK in 1997-1998 and 2002 to 2003. His detractors noted that his effective tax rate would have been substantially higher if he had maintained a continuous UK residence for such reasons. His brother Neil had previously stated that, due to his tax exile status, Sean Connery would not be visiting Scotland to rally independence supporters in the days leading up to the 2014 referendum. Spanish officials began an investigation into tax evasion after Connery sold his Marbella house in 1999, claiming that £5.5 million had been stolen from the Spanish government. Officials later cleared Connery, but attempted treasury fraud was levied against his wife and 16 others. Connery passed away peacefully at his home in the Lifford Cay suburb of Nassau, Bahamas, on October 31, 2020, at the age of 90. Eon Productions and his family made the announcement of his passing. The cause of death was not disclosed, but his son Jason did say that he had been sick for a while. His wife broke the news a day later that he had suffered from dementia in his last years. A month following Connery's passing, TMZ was able to get his death certificate, which revealed that pneumonia and respiratory failure were the causes of death. The time of death was recorded as 1:30 a.m. He was laid to rest in a private ceremony in Scotland in 2022 after being cremated. Connery was awarded Scotland's Greatest Living National Treasure in 2011 by Euromillion and the Greatest Living Scot in 2004 by the UK Sunday Herald. A yearly prize was instituted in Connery's name by the Edinburgh International Film Festival in 2024. From among the 10 feature films that have their world premieres at the festival annually, the public votes for one to receive the Sean Connery Prize for Feature Filmmaking Excellence, which is a cash prize of £50,000.